This is KC Sports Tonight.
And with that, welcome in, everybody. It is the Wednesday edition of KC Sports Tonight. Scott Reiss in our KCTV5 newsroom and Neal Jones live at Arrowhead Stadium. Final day of the first round of Chiefs OTAs today and the first day of media availability. So, Neal, what's it like to actually see real live football again?
Well, it's kind of like watching a sorority powder puff team, in college practice, because they're running around, but there's nobody hitting anybody. I mean, it's not really football. I will say this. It's fun to see Hollywood Brown. He looks unbelievably quick. Reiss looks quick. Everybody looked quick. I tell you what, even Sky Moore looked quick. This looks like, Scott, that was the most interesting thing to me. Obviously, the big stories involve Chiefs reacting to Harrison Butker and to Reiss's legal issues. But for me, in terms of football, the most exciting news is that they can throw the football deep downfield, stretch the defense, and actually complete passes. Everybody's singing the praises of Hollywood Brown and how quick and how fast he is. It'll be interesting to see if that will translate come September.
It's really remarkable to think that this team won a Super Bowl, and the offense obviously was uneven last year. It had its ups and its downs. It was pretty good in the playoffs. But you add two guys. You add a rookie in Xavier Worthy, and you add a veteran in Hollywood Brown, and all of a sudden you start salivating at what this offense could be. It's not like, look, it was good enough last year to win a Super Bowl, and yet it could be significantly more dangerous this year. And Patrick Mahomes has got to be like a kid in a candy store.
No question about it. Coming up tonight at 10 o'clock on our newscast, we're going to hear from one of the defensive backs, Trent McDuffie, talking about, hey, wait a minute, they're throwing the ball over our head and completing it here. He's not used to seeing that happen. We all know Bill Belichick made his career as a defensive coordinator and then a head coach by taking away what the other team's offense does best. And when he first started playing against the Chiefs, they lost a regular season game where Patrick Mahomes had I think it was actually Alex Smith was throwing the ball to number 10. We can't stop Tyreek Hill. We've got to find a way. He will not beat us again. And they developed a defense involving the second best corner and the best safety, and they would basically say, we're going to double him wherever he goes and make somebody else beat us. And we'll also shade on the tight end, Travis Kelce. We are not going to let them do to us what they do to everybody else. And by and large, they were able to do that. They had some success playing against the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes that way. Well, last year, it was like that all year. I kept saying, and I know I'd sit next to you in the press box, and the Chiefs would be up 17-3, and I'd be going, golly, they're not playing well. I mean, this offense isn't doing anything. The defense had a takeaway, and they sprung a run, or they found a seam route or something, but they were not the offense that they had been in the past. It was very frustrating for longtime Chiefs fans to watch, but as you said, they made it work. Great defense, great kicking games, and enough offense in the playoffs to win it.
Any other position groups that you had your eye on today, other than the wide receivers, which obviously are going to be the headline for most of training camp?
No, we only had. If you're videoing practice, you literally get about 7 minutes. And so the whole time, where's Mahomes? Let's get some video of Mahomes, even though he's forever away. Wanye Morris, the offensive line and defensive lines, they are a good 200 yards away from where the camera positions are, so you really can't get them. You can zoom in on them and see them, but there's a million people walking in the way. So I really want to see what the offensive tackles can do. And, Scott, quite frankly, we won't really see that until week one. I mean, even the preseason, I don't know that we're going to be able to know exactly what they're doing. But to me, that is the one possible chink in the offensive armor is at the offensive tackle position. If Wanye Morris or the big second-round pick out of BYU, if they are not able to grab that left tackle spot by the throat, I wouldn't be surprised to see the Chiefs do something with a veteran and put him in, bring him in and put him in there. We know you're not the best in the league, but you're affordable, and we need somebody we know can protect Patrick Mahomes' backside. So I think that's going to be a fascinating thing to watch during training camp.
Is Donovan Smith still out there?
Scott, I wasn't even. I was looking for Taylor Swift.
No, I don't mean out. I don't mean out there on the field. I don't mean out there on the field. I mean out there like a free agent, right? Nobody's signed him, right?
I don't know, but that is the kind of guy they'd love. An older guy who knows the playbook. And they can sign him for next to nothing, and they can cut him if they get one of the other guys playing well. They have some younger guys they believe have the physical ability to play the position on the right and left side. But we have to see it happen first. Their offensive tackle play last year, people don't realize what a job they did to do what they did offensively. Their offensive tackle play was in the bottom third in the league, and talking to scouts, people. And I'm told that on paper, this tackle group, on paper, is worse than what they had last year on paper, but that they all have upside. So maybe they can grow into it. We certainly have been surprised in the past that the Chiefs have been able to plug guys in and make them work.
Since you brought it up, did you see Taylor Swift on the field today?
No, and I was tremendously disappointed. Now, I was kidding Jared about it. Jared hates talking. Jared Kohler, our sports producer, I don't know what his title is, but Jared, he hates talking about Taylor Swift, and all I do when I go on radio around the country is hear about Taylor Swift, Buckner. I purposely have not listened to the entire Butker commencement speech because I do not want to know what he said, because I don't want to be able to. I don't want to comment around the country about something. I don't want to get into that mess. But Taylor Swift's another thing. I've actually paid attention to it before I go on in certain markets, because I know they're going to ask. Where's Taylor Swift? Is Kelsey with Trace? And I'm like, I got tired of saying, I don't know. I don't know where her concert tour is, and I don't know if Kelsey's there or not. I don't know anything. So I actually Google it to try to and see news to see if there's some sighting for them around the world.
All right. Well, with all due respect to your refusal to watch the Harrison Butker commencement speech, that was still the hot topic today at the news conference. I know Andy Reid spoke about it. Patrick Mahomes spoke about it. They also spoke about Reiss Reiss, and those are sort of the two hot-button, unfortunate, controversial topics that have been surrounding the Chiefs over the last month. So what was said, what jumped out at you when you talk about the reaction to both Butker and Reiss today?
Well, first of all, the coach talked. He really did address the Butker situation. And part of that is the fact that this is not an arrest. This is not something that is pending in the court of law where I'm not going to comment on that. We don't know. That's kind of what he said about Reiss Reiss. We're following the situation. We certainly reached out as a team to contact the players and stay in touch with them as they go through these processes. But beyond that, we're not involved, because it's a legal proceeding, right? But Harrison Butker is different. This is just, social media attacking him and people disagreeing. And he said, I thought he handled it really, really well, as did Patrick Mahomes. Both of them said, we have a really good relationship. The locker room has a great relationship. We have a lot of people who feel differently about different things, and we all are accepting about what they think. We might not agree with them, but we accept it. And he said that's what makes America great. That's what Andy Reid said. How do you argue with that? And then Patrick Mahomes, much the same thing. He said, I judge him by what I've seen from him for the last 7 years. And I think he's a really good man. I think he's a good person. And I think he's trying to be a good person. Doesn't mean I agree with everything he said, but I respect him as a person, and that's how I accept him.
And Mahomes said that he has talked to Reiss Reiss. You were telling me that earlier. Again, anything interesting in terms of Patrick talking about a guy who, is really important to the team's success, but to his personal success as well?
Well, he was asked, what's your message to him? I assume you've talked to him. And he said, well, our message is really simple. Just hang in there, try to do the right things. Try to make good decisions moving forward and turn every negative into a learning experience so that you don't make the same mistakes. And so that's nothing that's earth-shattering, but I think it's true. And I think the fact that he lives down there in Dallas, I think that he knows people down there. I think they were working out down there. I think it would be real easy just to see a guy and go, hey, man, how you doing? Hey, look, you got to learn from this. You got to go past this. You can't be doing stuff like this. Yeah. And that's all you got to say. Sometimes giving a long speech, I've learned this with my son and daughter, if I give a long speech about why you should do something, they zone out after about 7 seconds, much like you do when I'm talking to you in the press box. You zone out after about 7 seconds. But if you make a short look, hey, come on, don't do that again. Learn from it, move on. Sometimes that's more effective, and I think that's the way Patrick Mahomes deals with it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was zoning out. Did you say something?
Yeah. Tell your kids I said hi.
All right. So I know that you did not get to see the Royals-Tigers game today because you were working hard there at Arrowhead. So let me give you an idea of what went down. You had the most electric young left-handed starting pitchers in baseball, potentially, arguably. Tariq Skubal, who is probably the front runner right now for the American League Cy Young Award, who was 6-0 coming in, pitching for the Tigers. You had Cole Reagans, and we know what he's been for the Royals. And Reagans was phenomenal. 6 innings, 1 hit, a career-high 12 strikeouts. He had 9 strikeouts on his four-seam fastball, which I think is the most by any pitcher in a game this season in baseball. And the Royals got to Skubal. They touched him up for 4 runs. He hadn't given up more than 2 in a game the entire season. The Royals got 4 off him today. They win 10-3. Bobby Witt Jr. with a 2-run double. We saw what he did yesterday with the 6 RBI, the 2 homers. Today he tacks on a couple of more. He's hitting like 370 on the homestand. And Neal, they not only win a game, they not only sweep a series, but they completed a perfect 6-0 homestand, which means they've now done that twice. 2 perfect homestands this season of 6 or more games. It's the second time in 20 years that a team has had 2 perfect homestands in one season of at least 6 games. The Yankees did it a couple years ago. I mean, we kind of keep talking about this as if, they're still playing well, But this is bordering on remarkable what this team is doing.
There's no question about it. Look at the teams that have the best records. I saw this on Facebook last night. The 4 best teams with the winning records, the Royals by far have the lowest payroll. They're doing it without throwing look at the Dodgers. I mean, my God, you'd expect the Dodgers to have a huge record given how much money they spend and how many former All-Stars and current All-Stars they have dotting their lineup, including the best DH in all of baseball in Ohtani. But for the Royals to do what they've done on the basis of last year, a bunch of guys thrown together with some holdovers from one of the worst teams in Royals history, with a manager who hadn't proven he could win as a manager, it's pretty remarkable. And I give them all credit. Yes, it is still May. Okay, we've all heard of June swoons. We've seen the Cubs or the Giants have great teams over the years and then fall flat in June and hit a brick wall and they're done. And they're nothing but a bad team. But at some point, even someone like me, who I am very, very cynical about almost anything when it comes to teams like this, they got to prove to me that they can do it. Baseball, you can't hide. Okay? In football, you can get lucky. Even basketball teams can have a hot month. This team, sooner or later, if you have a weakness, it's the bullpen or you're starting pitching or you're fielding or whatever it is, or you're hitting, sooner or later it's going to catch up with you. And so far, the Royals are winning games just about every way possible. Low-scoring games where their starters great, high-scoring games where they have to come from behind to win. They've found a way to do it. And Matt Quatrero, he's got to be getting some look for Manager of the Year. If you had one for the first couple of months of the season, he'd be my pick.
Well, not only that, but the shortstop is certainly working his way into the upper echelons of the MVP conversation. I mean, what Bobby Witt Jr. has done so far is incredible. He's the best defensive shortstop in the league. He's leading the majors in tied for the lead in stolen bases. He's hitting 300. He's got more runs than anybody in baseball. I mean, up and down the list. And to your point, and what's so remarkable about this Royals team is, the big question obviously is how sustainable is this? Well, you got to look under the hood, and you kind of go aspect by aspect. Starting pitching has been among the best in baseball, right? The bullpen has been really solid. They run. They steal bases as well as anybody in baseball. It is the best defensive team in the American League statistically. And then the question is, all right, is the offense good enough? Well, the bottom note on your screen right now, they've scored 5 or more runs in 8 straight home games. They are killing the baseball at Kauffman Stadium. And the only chink in the armor so far is that on the road, the offense has been pedestrian at best. But if you add all that up together, you still got a team that's 13 games over 500. And even though they're still a game and a half back at Cleveland right now, because it seems like literally every time the Royals win, the Guardians win as well. But all of a sudden you look below them, the Twins are 5 full games back of the Royals now all of a sudden in the American League Central. So right now it's a 2-team race. Now, again, it's May, and they got to go to Minnesota for 4 games next week, so that's a big series. But, you know, the outlook for this team, this is so far from a fluke at this point. We're talking about a full third of the season almost is under our belts.
One thing I learned in both 2014 and 15 with the Royals is that a team truly can be greater than the sum of its parts. Because you would look at that lineup, and they didn't have the kind of numbers, and they didn't have the kind of name that really scared people. You didn't think, wow, that team, they're unbelievable. But they could run. They could go from first to third on a base hit. They could go from second. They could score from almost anywhere from third base with a fly ball, with any kind of thing, because they had such team speed and they had the mantra, we're not going to, Ned Yost never blistered a guy for getting thrown out by trying to take the extra base, because he knew we're not going to hit home runs. We got to do stuff like that. And as a result, they had an aggressive mindset. They didn't strike out very much. All things that don't make headlines. Okay, nobody says, well, that guy, he's only got 4 home runs, but he doesn't strike out very much. He moves the runner. That does not work in the last 25 years of steroid-juiced baseball. That's not how you win, except they made it work. They had the best bullpen in baseball, and then you start to see there are many ways you can win. And in a short series, you can destroy a better team simply by taking them out of their game, because you've got a great bullpen and you've got some decent hitters and the ability to steal bases and move base runners. They did things that just were below the waterline, but they killed people. So I look at this lineup, and no, I do not think this Royals offense is good enough to go deep in the playoffs. But the fact of the matter is, so far it's been good enough to have one of the best records in the American League.
And before we move off of this, I want to go back to Bobby Witt Jr. for just a second, because I don't know that, certainly outside of Kansas City, the nation does not yet appreciate how good this guy is. And I think that even here in Kansas City, I'm not sure folks really appreciate how good he is, and he's not going to be 24 yet for a couple of weeks. I mean, Neal, I look at the landscape of Major League Baseball, and I watch a ton of baseball. Shohei Ohtani is on another planet, right? He is the best player in the game, hands down, and he can't even pitch, right? You bring that aspect back, and it's a whole other stratosphere. But you could make the argument right now, and I realize what Ronald Acuna Jr. did last year, but Acuna hasn't had a good first month and a half. You could make a very strong case right now that Bobby Witt Jr. is the second best player in all of Major League Baseball, and the Royals have him locked up for the next decade. I mean, how big a deal is this?
2 major problems standing in the way between him and superstardom. One, the fact that he plays in a market where not even I can't get the Royals games. I watch the Royals games out with my wife having dinner on Monday or Tuesday nights. We're getting Taco Tuesday at Johnny's or something, and we looked up and we're watching the game. She went to the game on Sunday and had a great time. And then because of the lack of market penetration for the Royals broadcast, there are thousands and thousands of people like me that would sit down and watch an inning or two every single night. And we don't do it because I have YouTube TV. I lost the cable that was in our neighborhood and went away. So I'm stuck and I can't see games very much. The other thing is the haircut. Scotty's got to change that.
I don't know, man. I think, you hit 300 and you hit 30 homers and steal 50 bases and score 120 runs. I think, you can take some liberties with the mullet. I do. All right. So
he looks like if you put him in a suit, you would think, NHL, he's a
yes,
forward.
He would be great in the NHL. He's got the Barry Melrose thing going on. Okay, quickly, I want to touch on Sporting last night, just because this is a team that has struggled so badly over the last 2 months or a month and a half in league play. They haven't won a league game, an MLS game, since March 29th. But now they've won 2 Open Cup matches in the last 2 weeks. Now, look, they were favored in both. These are lower division teams, but they were convincing last night. They won 4-0. And we know that the Open Cup is a big deal here because it is named after Lamar Hunt. What does it mean for confidence and just the mojo surrounding this sporting team to get that win last night, and now they know that they are in the Open Cup quarterfinals?
Well, I'm very happy for them, and I have no doubt that after the blistering that their manager, coach, whatever he is, Peter Vermes, delivered to that team, where he said, I'm looking at you, and he called people out individually that they were not giving their best effort. He said, this does not go to Daniel Shallowy, and it doesn't go to 2 or 3 other guys because you're running around making plays. The rest of you are not. And I'm going to start watching. I have no doubt that woke them up. The other thing is, look, Scott, it is like the 8th grade team beat the 6th grade team. Tulsa is the division right below, so it's not like they don't play professional soccer, but they're not. They're not on the same level. They should beat them. You know what I mean? The quality that Sporting puts on the field, they should win that match the way they did. To me, the bigger story is the developing storyline involving you and jinxing coaches and general managers and athletics directors. Missouri loses their athletic director on your watch. She chooses to go to a lesser program for the same amount of money. Very fishy. That seems weird. Now, the women's side, which is killing it, the KC Current, they're killing it. You interview for about a 5-minute thing live on television. You interviewed their GM, who's done this marvelous job, and now she's fired. You are a jinx.
Well, in fairness, I interviewed Cammie Ashton 6 weeks ago, so I'm not sure that a jinx has that kind of staying power. But if you want to put that on me, you also have to give me credit for the 2 Super Bowls, for the Elite 8 Kansas State, for Mizzou going to winning the bowl game.
No.
Right? Because all that happened on my watch, too.
Despite you.
Okay.
They won despite you. You were there. You were in the stadium when Buffalo came in and beat them. You were there when all the stuff went down, the first Thursday night game, the pick 6, they lose to the Lions. They never lost to the Lions before you came to town. I'm just saying.
Right. All right. I'll take the blame for the Lions, but I don't get the credit for the Super Bowl. That's fair. All right. So just because we do this every time you and I grace this show with our presence, the world, according to Neal Jones, anything that we have not already covered in the last 22 minutes that is at the other than my Kansas City jinx, which is at the top of your consciousness right now today?
I am excited for the University of Missouri softball team. There are a number of young ladies from the Kansas City area and this region. Great softball in this area, and you look every direction and you see Kansas City area players going to big-time programs, playing at Mizzou, which is a big-time program. I'm told the number 1 softball recruit in the entire country is from St. Joe, Missouri. So, I mean, there's great softball around here, and as it stands right now, I'm going to head over this weekend and cover their super regional. If they can beat Duke, win 2 out of 3, they go to the Softball World Series, the College Women's Softball World Series down in Oklahoma City, where they have a slugger's chance, a fighter's chance. They played 2 tough extra innings games against Nebraska, Omaha. Omaha has a dominant pitcher, and in softball that can carry a team because they can pitch every inning of every game, and they survived. They found a way to win an extra innings in a knockout game over there last weekend. So it's very, very exciting. I'm thrilled with that. And also, the local kid wins the golf tournament, the Blue Valley North grad. Talked to his dad today. He was offered a spot on the Live Tour, and he said no. And I am told that he told me, he said, it was hard because a lot of his friends went with Live, and if you don't go with Live, a lot of the guys won't talk to you anymore. It's really interesting. I did not know that.
Yeah.
And he said it's strange how you can be buddies with someone for 5 or 6 years coming up, and then you get there and they invite you to go to the Live Tour, and you don't feel comfortable, so you don't do it. And the next thing you know, people aren't taking your phone call. People aren't sending you Christmas cards or whatever they do nowadays. It was interesting. So congratulations to him. Harry Higgs, a great guy. Really enjoyed that. Great family. So those are the two stories I'm excited about.
Yeah, on the former, absolutely, I echo the sentiments. Best of luck to the Tigers this weekend. It's a great story. They've shown a flair for the dramatic, as you mentioned, so it'll be fun to watch over the weekend in the Super Regional. And yeah, Harry Higgs, I mean, that 64-footer for Eagle to force a playoff was otherworldly, and then to win the thing. And boy, I tell you what, this Live Tour, it seems like since day one, the dynamic has just been so strange, and the fact that continues even after the merger, and it seemed like bygones were bygones, and it's interesting to hear that is still such a divisive topic within the professional golf community. And this is a sport that can't afford this sort of thing, right? It's not at the apex of its all-time popularity, so it's a shame that Harry Higgs has to lose friends because he's not going to join the Live Tour, and he's got very valid reasons for doing it. So anyway.
It's interesting, though, Scott, the TV ratings for the PGA, which were on Channel 5, were up significantly, and they think it's because of Scotty Scheffler's arrest. People tuned in to see how he
this weekend, yes, absolutely.
One of the bizarre stories. I don't remember anything like it. It's too bad there's no body cam footage. They think there might be a security cam across the street that might get some of it, but it's of what happened. But just an unbelievable circumstance.
That was so strange, and not that it has any local significance, but Xander Schauffele, 21 under, breaking the all-time record in a major. That was pretty outstanding. So yeah. Glad we had that on our air. And we will have Neal Jones on our air as well once again in just about half hour on KCTV5. News at 6. I'm going to skedaddle, get ready for that. You stay put. We'll talk to you live in about 25 minutes.
You got it.